Albuquerque, UFC. Big night of fights on at the weekend. A lot of good talent taking place in Albuquerque. We're going to start the main event, then we'll go through some of the stuff. Obviously, in the main event, we had Jan Blachowicz taking on Cory Anderson. Coming into this fight, Cory Anderson had a lot of swag. Just knocked out Johnny Walker. He was talking a lot of shit. He was angry. He was disrespected. He felt he wasn't getting the respect he deserved from the UFC and from a lot of the roster. I remember DC back in the day saying, sit down to Jimmy Manuwa. You just knocked out Cory Anderson. That's all. Do you know what I mean? Like making light of Cory Anderson.
I wanted to bring that up. Because DC was commentating the fight on Saturday, and it's like, you just used this guy's name as a punchline less than 2 years ago. That was, it was the spring of 2018, after he had just knocked out Rumble Johnson. So he had that conversation with Jimmy Manuwa from the cage. So that is a weird thing to me, where now you're less than 2 years removed from that, and you're talking about what a monster this guy is. And it's like, what, DC, we know how you actually feel about him. Maybe don't put him on commentary for this one.
Yeah, I'm not sure if that's... I understand what you're saying, but I think when it's all said and done, the majority of fighters, we all know, listen, we're all in the weight division. We all want the same thing. We all say these things. He might say things about DC in interviews or whatever. When it comes down to it, nobody really... I mean, there is some rivalries like Jones and Cormier where they hate each other. And I had one or two over the years where I didn't care for them. But generally, we're playing the game. And when I say playing the game, I don't mean we're being fake and manufactured. I mean, but we are playing that game where we're fighters and we're going to fight each other and we talk a bit of shit, but we don't take it too personally. We're allowed to say, I feel that we're going to win a fight. We're allowed to be a little bit disparaging when they're calling me out or something like that. Do you know what I mean? So they're just playing the game.
Okay. Fair enough. Because that genuinely, I tuned in a little bit late to this card, and I was just getting into the main card, and I was like, I cannot believe they put DC on commentary for that. Kind of did blow my mind, but that is kind of cool to me when you have somebody who did rule over that division for so long, in Jones's absence, having that same conversation with two guys who I think legitimately were fighting a number one contenders battle.
Oh, yeah, for sure. Absolutely, they were. But, talking about the fight, of course, Cory Anderson, as I said, coming into this fight, a lot of hype, as did Jan Blachowicz. And I got to say, Jan Blachowicz, I mean, I'm sure when you look at him on TV, he's fucking gigantic, right? But when you're with him in person, he's a big, strong, thick boy. I'm telling you, he's a big, big motherfucker. Fight ended quick. They went out there. Jan was trying to connect. Cory was taking his time, throwing some jabs out and things. But here's what I was trying to explain on the post-fight show Saturday night before Michael Chiesa kind of interrupted me and I had to tell him to shut the fuck up. All love and games on there, by the way. And I'm just busting the new guy's balls. People on Twitter were like, you were too mean to Michael Chiesa. I'm like, come on. Trying to be entertaining, trying to have a laugh. Shut the fuck up.
Dog, you ate that boy's lunch. I'm sorry.
Tough shit. So here's what happened. Cory Anderson's walking down Jan Blachowicz, and as he's walking towards him, he throws a low kick with is he southpaw? I'm not sure, but I think it was a left kick. He threw a left low kick. So maybe he's southpaw. I'm not actually sure, but he did throw a left low kick. You looking that up right there?
I am right now. Give me 1 sec. I'm not seeing anything about him being a southpaw fighter.
Don't worry about it. Doesn't matter. So he's walking him down. Generally, when you're walking an opponent down, you don't want to lead with a kick anyway. Anytime you throw a kick, you do leave yourself open to counters. Number one, you're on one leg. You're on one leg, so you have got no ability to move out the way. Secondly, to remain on balance, like if you throw a low kick with your right leg, the right arm kind of comes down to counterbalance as well. That's generally what happens. Okay. Now, a lot of people tell you not to do that. You should have your hands here. But even the Thais, they train you to do that because you got extra torque and you counterbalance your body and things like that. And that's still how a lot of people kick. Obviously, both hands up, protecting your face would be better. But still, he's walking him down. He throws a low kick without setting it up, without throwing a jab. So you got to disguise your kicks. If you're quick enough to lead with a kick, that's fine. But then when that kick lands on the floor, then follow it with punches. Don't just throw one shot, and certainly don't lead. Anyway, this occasion, he throws the kick and he drops both of his hands. And not only did he drop both of his hands, when he threw that kick, he leaned into that way. He leaned into the fucking shot, basically. So he leans into the shot, and Jan Blachowicz throws the perfect fucking right hand. I think it was a right hand, and boom. So it was just a perfect storm. I'm sure if they fought 20 times, it wouldn't go down quite like that. I'm not taking away from Jan's victory. I'm just saying that was the perfect storm. He throws a kick when he shouldn't have done. He leans into the punch, and the punch comes his way, drops him, and Jan finishes it pretty fast. So, I mean, fucking awesome. Then Jan Blachowicz gets up, challenges Jon Jones. Jones stands up. He's got his arms out in the air. It was a good moment, and I can really see that being the next fight for Jon Jones. But, yeah, congratulations to Jan Blachowicz. Tremendous win.
Yeah, so what really got me about that, I put it in the notes here. Blachowicz did predict that he was going to win via right uppercut. He did talk to DC about timing that counter. He was always, he talked to Ariel Helwani about it yesterday as well. He was planning his left hooks and his right hooks to work off of counters because he knows that's how Cory traditionally likes to work his way inside. He'll throw the low kick, then he'll try to bull rush you into some kind of a takedown attempt. So I feel like you said, yeah, if they did fight 100 times, it might not always go down like that. But for me personally, heading into this fight, I was looking at Jan Blachowicz. I put it out on Twitter. He was plus 170 earlier in the week, ended up closing at plus 210, which felt insane to me, given just how good Jan Blachowicz looked in his rematch against Jimmy Manuwa in a fight where he was outclassed the first time and then absolutely dominated Manuwa in the rematch. I thought this Anderson fight was going to be a lot of the same, and it was.
Yeah, and let's not forget, and I'm not trying to blow smoke up my own ass here, he knocked out Luke Rockhold in spectacular fashion. And I know it's trendy now to talk shit about Luke, you know what I mean? And people say he's got no chin. The guy was a fucking tremendous world champion. When he was on form, he was the best. He was incredible. All right, I got him, and then he got stopped. Yoel got him. But Yoel Romero is fucking fighting for the belt again. There's no shame in losing to Yoel, and then he gets clocked against Blachowicz. Again, a tremendous guy. And listen, let's not forget that Jan also followed that up with a win over Jacare. Wasn't the most spectacular performance, but still, a win's a win. Okay, so he's on a fucking roll himself. So you're right. The fact he was such an underdog, it's crazy.
I thought that was interesting too, because he talked about the Jacare fight being somebody who he was like not excited about going to the ground with, versus somebody like Corey Anderson, who's made his business in the UFC being a wrestler. He didn't feel like Corey Anderson had the tools to really make him pay for it on the ground, so he wasn't as gun shy going in there. Like, he wasn't afraid of getting taken down by Corey Anderson because he thought he could have submitted him off of his back, whereas nobody submits Jacare off their back. You know what I mean? Like, that's
yeah.
So I can understand why, it would be a much more boring fight against somebody like Jacare versus, like, I don't think there's going to be any question whether or not he will come forward and try to put a hurting on Jon Jones if those two were to fight.
Oh, for sure. Listen, and I said this on the post-fight show because for my money, I think that's the fight they're going to make next for Jones. Because, again, to use that expression, perfect storm, I never say perfect storm now, and I'm saying it every 2 fucking seconds. But it was, again, the perfect storm because it was in Albuquerque. Jon Jones was there. He was front row. He gets a spectacular first-round knockout. Remember, if you want to get that title fight and you want to leapfrog the rest of the pack, you got to be spectacular. Well, that was fucking spectacular. Put him to sleep. First round, clean. Jon Jones is there. They have a back and forth so they can use all that promotional stuff in the countdown shows, on the embeddeds, just all the general hype, the TV commercials, everything. They were there face to face. The only thing that didn't happen that would have made it better was if Jones got into the cage. But, of course, that's only if the fight is scheduled. So, on paper, that is the fight that I think that should happen next. What do you think?
I mean, I really liked, I'll be honest with you, I like it a little bit more when they don't come in the cage. You know, like, there's something about it for me, like that Daniel Cormier moment that I was talking about, where he's sitting and talking to people who are in the stands, with Jones standing on top of his chair and it being like a big spectacle right outside of the cage, and for DC to point him out. That to me felt... It felt like, I'm glad there's a cage in between these guys. You know what I mean? Like, Blachowicz looked like he was ready to fight Jones that night.
Yeah, well, and I agree with you. I prefer it when they don't get in the cage, because I was a part of one of them once. I went in to challenge the winner of Yoel and Whitaker.
Of course.
And I felt like a dickhead. I did. It's very, very WWE. I was a little uncomfortable doing it. Of course, in true Michael Bisping fashion, I hammed it up completely and went way over the top. Threw my fucking belt down on the floor and stormed out of the cage. I don't know where that came from. I did not plan on doing that, but I'm like, I've got to do something dramatic. He's just been through a 5-round war. I can't push the guy. I can't get my hands in him. I can't try and fight him. You know what I mean? But because I went in there, I swear to God, sorry not to talk about myself, but I went in there.
People are here for.
I'm like, just be calm. Just be calm, be nice. He's just had a tremendous fight. Go in there, be classy. Say, Robert, tremendous fight. I look forward to challenging you later in the year. That's what I had in my mind. And then I walked in and I'm standing there and he's opposite me and he's there and he's glistening and he's worked out and he's got veins pumping and the blood is flowing and he's got sweat running down his face and a little bit of blood and he's giving it like a bit of a snarl, not a sexual snarl. I can see you think I'm going sexual here. I'm not. Although if I batted the other team, I'd have been all about it because he looked good.
Spent a lot of time analyzing that man's body. That's all I'm saying.
Staring at those flexing his pecs at me and just like the wrinkles in his midsection, the abdominal muscles were on full display. But I'm looking and he's got the world belt on. He's got the fucking belt around his waist. And I'm like, that's my belt. And you've got a nerve having that fucking belt. And everything I thought just went out the window. And I'm like, you fucking cocksucker. You're going to stand there staring at me with a belt on? You didn't fight me, so you're not the champ. And it just went out the window. Anyway, I'm not all about those in-cage face-offs either.
Yeah, I mean, like the last one I can remember now is DC versus Brock Lesnar. And that fight never came to fruition. And it's kind of one of those weird moments that, like, DC had just won the heavyweight title. He was a champ, the second person to ever do this, going up a weight class, knocking out Stipe. And the lasting moment of that to me is Brock fucking Lesnar. Get out of here. That's insane.
Yeah, when you put it like that, that does make sense. So going back to what I was going to say, so obviously we're talking about him fighting Jon Jones. And, when you look at what he did Saturday night, when he knocked out Cory Anderson like that, and he looked so powerful, and you look at the recent form that he's on, you start thinking, fuck, Jan Blachowicz could beat Jon Jones, right? And the reason why you say that is because Jones is looking more beatable lately. People think that Reyes should have won that fight, maybe. A lot of people do. People think that maybe Thiago Santos, it's a discussion. The fight with Anthony Smith, excuse me, was a clear victory, but he didn't look like that killer, right?
And there was a moment in that fight where Anthony Smith could have chosen to be the new light heavyweight champion of the world.
Please never mention that again. It's ridiculous, but it is a valid point, but it's ridiculous. But here's the thing, right? So like people look at Jones and they think, oh, this man's starting to be beatable. And it is true. But you've also got to remember this man is fighting champion after champion after champion, generations of fights, one after the other. And the reality is at some point you are going to slow down. At some point, you are going to get older. You're not going to be quite as wild. You are sleeping, with a fuller bank account at night. You don't have that same hunger, that same desire. I mean, look at you right now. You now you've got a home. You know what I mean? Right. And I haven't seen a downtick in your work, but you were producing and sending notes like a hungry man. Like a man that hasn't eaten a cheeseburger for a while. Because I'm like, the notes are in depth. I'm like, Harrington, I was there. You don't need to break down the fight to me. I was there. I called the fight. I get it. But this man is off on a tangent. He's writing questions for future guests. When you are hungry, when you need it, when you're on your way up, you're hungry. I can see you a year from now, Harrington, probably not even showing up. You know what I mean? So believe you me, schmelieve you me. You know what I mean? That's what you'll be like.
Telling Lewis to get me a cup of coffee.
Wouldn't that be great? Wouldn't that be fucking awesome? I'll pay money to see that. But yeah, Jon Jones, as I say, he's looking beatable right now, but I don't know. He's still been beating world champion after world champion, so the man deserves his respect.
Well, for somebody like, the Reyes comp I thought was interesting because, Dominic Reyes, literally when he started training MMA, Jon Jones is the light heavyweight champion of the world. So like there, and so many of those guys came up. You saw the same thing, Chris Weidman, Anderson Silva, Johnny Hendricks, GSP. Like there are those long-term champions where, guys have been literally training their entire life for a shot at this one opponent. Jan Blachowicz doesn't really fall in that category. 34 fights now, has been doing this, I think since he's 36 years old now. So he's actually, significantly older than Jones. He's been doing this for a while. This feels like a guy who's not going to be intimidated. Getting in there with Jon Jones is not going to be, feeling the pressure of the moment, has been fighting high-level fights all around the world for years now. I think he is the best opponent in my mind.
Yeah, I totally agree. Listen, I wanted to see the rematch between Reyes and Jones. But with that big knockout, with that first round knockout like that, I feel like there's a potential that that's the fight they make next. But only time will tell. Only time will tell. Congratulations, Jan Blachowicz. Unlucky to Cory Anderson. I know you got your finger up there. You want to say something. Let me just make this final point. Cory Anderson, absolute gentleman in defeat. Because he came to the weighing show. And then, when you're doing the weighing shows, you got to make predictions. And he was going to be a guest. And he was sitting right there, just off camera. But I knew he was there and he was coming on in the next segment. And we had to give our fucking predictions right in front of him. And Chiesa predicts Cory Anderson to win. But I thought Blachowicz was going to get it done. And on top of that, he's Polish. I've got Polish heritage, a lot of Polish family. So, we got to stick together. And I picked Jan Blachowicz, and Cory was like, you motherfucker, in a joking way. I'm like, listen, man, may the best man win. And then afterwards, as I was walking into the hotel when I got back, he was sitting there. He was leaning up against the wall with his girlfriend or wife and just relaxing after the event before he went to bed. And he's like, hey, Mike, you were right, weren't you? You picked him to win. And I went over, I shook his hand. I said, oh, dude. I said, listen, it's one of those fights. It's a 50-50. I said, you'll be back. I said, and then he said, no, mate, I take inspiration from you. You won the belt after a lot of ups and downs. I said, well, exactly. That's just the way this game goes. Live to fight another day. You're not injured. Wish you all the best. And I look forward to your next fight. So he's a class act. Cory Anderson's a good guy.
Yeah, I agree. I definitely thought this was very much a coin flip fight, which is why I thought getting either one of these men at 2-1, I would have jumped all over it. If the roles were reversed and Jan Blachowicz was a heavy favorite and Cory Anderson was plus 210, I probably would have thrown my money on him because I felt like this fight was a coin flip heading into it. And I don't think you can hold any shame there. I do think, though, we're in a weird point now because Dominic Reyes, I feel like, deserves a rematch. Thiago Santos definitely deserves a rematch. Jan Blachowicz has been in the UFC forever and ever. He's been knocking guys out left and right recently. I think it is his time. He does feel next. I think it would make no sense for him to take a fight in between. So for me, what makes the most sense, Santos says he's back now. Like, he's just released a video this morning, shows him training, throwing leg kicks. Apparently the surgery was great on his knees. And he's complaining that they offered him a fight outside of the top 10. I would have to assume, Johnny Walker would be the guy. He's talking about somebody who just came off a loss who he feels like is a step back. To me, isn't the no-brainer fight here Dominic Reyes versus Thiago Santos, Jon Jones versus Jan Blachowicz, winner versus winner?
Well, when you put it like that, it's hard to argue with that logic. If I'm Thiago Santos coming off, if you're not going to get the rematch with Jon Jones, which I just go out on a limb and say this, he's not going to get a rematch against Jon Jones. Too much has happened since then. He's fought Dominic Reyes and now there's Jan Blachowicz. It's not going to happen. Fighting a guy like Reyes, it's very dangerous, and it's very dangerous for Reyes as well. If I'm Thiago Santos coming back after a major surgery, the UFC are doing him a favor. They should give him someone outside the top 10. Give him ability to come back, get rid of that ring rust, get the body back to 100%, get a good knockout on your resume, get that feeling, get that swag, that confidence back, and then get another knockout, and you're riding conversation for another shot at Jon, when whatever scenario plays out. But anyway, only time will tell.